So it's broken down to 7 chapters, the first one being management, and there are 11 tasks. And why that's important is because when the notified body comes in to certify you as part of MDSAP certification, they will go through those tasks line item by line item. So it's very prescriptive in terms of what they're going to be looking at when they're coming in to do your MDSAP certification. And why that's important is because you can do the same thing. You can take this audit model, go through each of the 7 subchapters, and go through the task and really get a feel for how you're tracking from a compliance perspective. So 2 is device marketing authorization and facility registration. We have 3 tasks there. 3 is measurement analysis improvement. We have 16 tasks. 4 is medical device adverse event reporting and advisory notices reporting. We have 2 tasks there. 5 is design and development. We have 17 tasks. 6 is production service controls, which we have 29 tasks. And then lastly is purchasing. We have 12 tasks. So as you see, some of the terminology also may not be completely aligned with what you're used to. But again, this is the global framework that we're operating under. Just to put a finer point on this MDSAP document. So again, this is our MDSAP audit approach. It goes through all the 7 chapters, as I mentioned, all the tasks. And what it also does for those of you who are perhaps still in QMSR transition activity is that it maps the specific regulatory requirement for each country. So by task, it will tell you exactly what regulatory requirement is required for that specific task. It also has linkages. So sometimes, especially as we think about closed loop, we want to make sure that you're not looking at each chapter in silo. So the document actually does a really nice job of indicating when you have to tie a particular task to a different section or a different link. So again, really making sure that you're looking at your whole quality management system from a closed loop perspective. And the other thing that it calls out is it calls out country-specific requirements. And that's important because in certain countries, so sometimes Canada, Australia, they have very nuanced requirements that you have to factor in. And if you're not taking that into consideration, it could end up in a citation as part of your MDSAP certification. So again, download it. If you haven't downloaded it or you're not familiar with it, I'd highly recommend that you bookmark this because again, great resource for not only MDSAP, but QMSR. Just do a quick review on each of the tasks just to get a sense for where you are with respect to your current health of your QMS. And also think through when you have your auditor come in to do your MDSAP certification, this is what they're going to be looking for. So how would you grade? What I would say is pay close attention to the chapter 3, 5, design control, 6 on the production side, and 7 around purchasing. Those are items that really go deeper in terms of records. So make sure that you have some good familiarity with not only the requirements from a process perspective, but what output documents you would need to produce as part of your audit. Also, a good rule of thumb is assign process owners. So you're not doing, at least quality's not doing everything wing to wing. Bring in R&D, bring in your production team members so they have good familiarity with this framework as well. And then lastly, but really important, is run a mock audit. This doesn't have to be a formal internal audit, but it's always really good to do your own gap assessment and mock audit just to get a sense for where you have your biggest gaps. And then most importantly, you have the opportunity to fix them first before they're identified by your notified body. And this is also a great strategy when it comes to FDA audit readiness as well. For those of you who haven't gone through MDSAP, it's a little bit different perhaps than what you're used to. There are 2 stages that you have to get through as part of your initial certification. One is stage 1. So essentially, as you're prepping for MDSAP certification, the first leg of the journey is to create your infrastructure. So again, using the MDSAP audit model, going through each of your chapters, each of the tasks, and then tying it back to your QMS to make sure you're comprehensive. Once you have that package ready, you will be submitting all of that data to what's considered stage 1 to your notified body. So this is typically done remotely. Sometimes they come on site. It just depends on your relationship. It just depends on where you are in the process. But this is typically done about 3 to 6 months in advance of your stage 2. And what this does is it gives you an idea of any big gaps that notified body might see as part of stage 2. So it's almost like a preview of what you need to do in preparation for your actual inspection. So stage 1, again, is the first gate. then get the feedback, and then you mitigate, get everything ready to go, and then you move on to stage 2. And that's when your notified body comes in, conducts an audit. It's similar to your ISO 13485, if those of you have gone through it. So it's a bit of a similar framework. However, again, they're going to be focused on the MDSAP tasks and chapters. Okay, so next let's think about what are we going to be looking at as we prep. So we have our certification audit, and we talked about the stage 1, stage 2. Then after you get your certification, so your certification is received, it goes into a database. And one thing that's important is FDA, if they knock on your door and you're MDSAP certified and they're coming in to do a routine inspection, you can tell them you're MDSAP certified. They will go into the MDSAP database, see that you're MDSAP certified, and they will not come in. So again, it's really beneficial for organizations to think about this from a strategic perspective, because if you think about how many of us have sat in front of FDA for weeks on end defending your QMS and defending the company, you could actually eliminate this step by becoming MDSAP certified. Then we have our surveillance audit, so that's year 2. And then year 3, we have our full recertification audit. So again, very systematic, similar to your ISO 13485 framework, but the benefit again is you're MDSAP certified, and FDA now will not come in for routine inspections.